on their back feet. It's why you see all sorts of desperate attacks on Vice President Harris that say much more about Donald Trump and the people around him than anything else. People like Sarah Huckabee Sanders and her nasty swipe, Kamala Harris, for not being capable of humility because she has not given birth. Here's what Second Gentleman Doug Emhoff had to say about that and about Donald Trump.
They said that somehow because Cole and Ella aren't Kamala's quote-unquote biological children, that she doesn't have anything in her life to keep her humble. As if keeping women humble, whether you have children or not, is something we should strive for. It is not. But I'll tell you what, going back to that debate, Kamala sure kept Trump humble at that debate, didn't she? Because that's what this is really about. And there is nothing more important to me, Kamala, and Kirsten than our kids, our big, beautiful, blended family. And we know that all parents, no matter how you become one, make the same sacrifices and revel in the same joys of raising children as any parent anywhere.
That's where we start today with some of our favorite reporters and friends. MSNBC political analyst, Democratic strategist Cornel Belcher is back with us, plus two of the three co-hosts of MSNBC's powerhouse weekend show, The Weekend, are here. Michael Steele and Alicia Menendez here with me at the table. Michael Steele, I can tell through the magic box that you're fired up and ready to go. So I'm going to start with you. Let me say this. Anyone in a modern family, I call it a modern family, a blended family is the word Doug Emhoff knows, can tell you that the most humbling thing in the world is actually the life of a step-parent. I think Glennon Doyle and Abby Womack have this description. They, of course, are the, I believe, award-winning podcast of We Can Do Hard Things, and what they say is it's all the pain, all the skin in the game, but not the name on the jersey. And I think that's sort of a beautiful way to describe the existence of a step-parent. So there's the stupidity and the meanness of Sarah Huckabee Sanders, which isn't really revelatory, but then you layer it over the political stupidity of it, because divorce and remarriage and blended families doesn't know any ideological divide, right? Any one of us would be lucky to find ourselves in that situation. But to smear and alienate every American in a blended family is politically idiotic.
It is, Nicolle. You sit there and you scratch your head and you go, is it me, or are they just stupid? Is it me, or are they just rude, crude, and vile in their approach to how I'm shaping my life, how I'm working to bring a family together? There is no harder work than for a mother or a father who divorce, remarry, try to bring a family together with the idea of being family. And they're now saying that women aren't fulfilled or competent or capable unless they have children, that a family isn't a family unless it is a mom and a dad who marry and never divorce, or whatever they think it is. And you're sitting there going, well, how the hell do you think the country came together? This is bread and butter. This happens every day in America. And we've never found ourselves questioning motherhood or family, the capacity of individuals to create family. We've gone through these discussions as we dealt with, gay marriage and what that family structure looks like. And America's like, okay, we good, right? It's about how you come together, how you raise those children, how you love them, how you care for them. And even if you don't have children, you're still family as a husband and husband, wife, man and woman, whatever your family is. And I don't need these. I'll be good because it's 4 o'clock in the afternoon.
Because he knows I'm watching, Michael.
Mommy's watching.
I don't need these. I'll put it this way: these asses telling me what my family is, and telling me how I raise my kids, or looking at my family and judging it. You don't get to do that. And as a country, we've never done that, and I don't think we should start now.
Well, and just to sort of meditate for a second, Michael, on the party we were once in, it is the most unconservative thing to want to sit there with the OBGYN. Really, what we're learning from the reporting in ProPublica out of Georgia is they're in the ER now, and if you're a pregnant woman in a car accident, you need prayer as much as you need medical care in those situations. I mean, we're learning that the Republican policy package is deadly for women. So all the places they want to be is the most unconservative thing. They want to be in the ER with pregnant women. They want to be in the emergency room for the ultrasound. They want to be there if you are in a blended family, and they're going to look and see whether you're as humble as someone who's given birth. They are everywhere, and it is the most unconservative thing I've ever seen.
It is the most unconservative thing, and even more than what you've just described is they want to see you damn near death before they offer help. And that's the most cynical and sinister part of this, that as we've seen in discussions by women who are telling their stories, and as the vice president so well laid out in her debate with Donald Trump, that women, families, men don't want to see themselves in a situation where the one they care for is bleeding out in a parking lot because the emergency room won't take them in. That's the America they're creating for us. And the challenge they now have, and it's coming home to nip a little bit. We see it in various areas around the country, in the battleground states, but across the country, where this storyline is not something Americans want. And it is defining how they're looking at this campaign. And at the end of the day, whether you are a pro-life woman or a pro-choice woman, no matter where your stripe is, you're looking at what the country looks like for your daughter and your granddaughter. And you don't like what you're seeing right now. And that's, I think, where Republicans, and why you're seeing so many of them backstroke, why right now they're stumbling over the IVF legislation, trying to hold the hard line while at the same time recognizing they're losing political ground with the American people.
You guys are such co-anchors. I can hear you like you're sitting next to each other.
Like a backup singer, I know.
I mean, it's showing up in the polls, but I think if you are part of the pro-democracy coalition who doesn't think being pregnant should be a fatal condition in America, you'd like to see her pull away more.
Right. Well, and you also understand the hypocrisy of what they're saying, which is at a time when they are limiting access to IVF, limiting access to the type of reproductive care that is now jeopardizing women's future fertility. What kind of ways are they leaving for American women to have a family
to be humble
the right way? But it's clear what they're doing here, which is they can't delegitimize Kamala Harris as a candidate. So they're going to try to delegitimize her as a woman. It has sort of a whiff of Donald Trump's racist birther lie that he tried to weaponize against Barack Obama. And I think part of what they're getting wrong is they think that they can drive a wedge between women who have biological children and women who do not, when in reality, one of the few common experiences of being a woman in this country is to have every choice you make deemed wrong. You don't want to have kids, you're wrong. You want to have kids and then you want to go to work, you're wrong. You want to have kids and then you take a break from your career in order to be home with your kids, you're wrong. So they have managed to tap in to one of the central commonalities of women voters in reminding us that Kamala Harris is all of us because what she has chosen is somehow illegitimate and wrong. And to go to something you and I have talked about a lot is it's not enough for it to be a conversation about and among women. It has to be a conversation that includes men. And so the fact that you have her husband out there on the stump being the one who's actually addressing this reminds American men that this isn't just about the women in your lives. This is also about you and your family being under attack.
Well, and the most amazing thing is that the people attesting to Kamala Harris's role in their lives are Doug Emhoff's first wife, Kirsten Emhoff. I think she was the first to tweet about it and to respond. I mean, this line of attack has been out there for a while. And I believe that you have to go back to J.D. Vance saying women should stay in violent marriages. That's what they think of all women. That a marriage that is violent is better than a divorce. That is the position of this ticket. And then you had Cole and Ella in their own words, in their own voice, speaking at the Democratic convention. I know this about stepkids. You cannot make them love you in that role. If they love you, it is something that has transpired. I mean, you know, my son has two step-parents who are extraordinary. Curriculum night will be attended by one biological parent, two step-parents. I mean, it's such an intimate relationship, and to see it, one of the many things, burned up at the altar of Trumpism is sick.
It's also just, I don't know, to your point about the fact, like, we don't expect much more of them, but I'm confused by the politics of this. Like, to whom is this appealing? Because we know who it's alienating. There's a small swath of voters who are going to tune in late. They know the things that Donald Trump has already said may not have motivated them to a point of decision. Why do they keep giving them new reasons not to vote for them?
So, Cornell, I mean, help us understand this. You'd think they've got sort of the elitos locked up, right? I mean, they've got the whole only one way to have a family, it must be rude. I mean, they've got that sort of view of the world locked up. Why are they still talking to that voter?
Well, two things. But before I dive into that, I do want to point out, thank you for having me on your show, Nicolle, because I have not been on the weekend show at all. So,
it's a hard ticket. I mean, me neither.
Thank you. I know. Apparently, it's really hard to get on that show. So thanks for having me on your show. But I'm going to take this and lean into another dimension on it. I agree with everything that's been said, but I want to unpack another dimension that I think speaks to why they're doing it. And look, as a child of the South, someone who was born and raised in the South, and hearing a deeply Southern governor say that word humble, it stinks of a trope that I think I'm familiar with. It stinks of a racial trope that I think I'm very familiar with, and the key word being humble, because it's always been about you uppity blacks. And you got to know your place. And I think that is a dimension that I think they're leaning into, and they lean into constantly. And Vice President Harris is an uppity black who doesn't know her place, and she needs to be humbled. That's how I connect the dots on this this statement, humbly, because I put it within the context of them leaning in to racial aversion and aggrievement politics. And this is absolutely a dog whistle, historical dog whistle, when you're talking about blacks not being humble and not knowing their place.
I mean, I think that is absolutely the through line between what Huckabee Sanders is talking about. I think the other way to marvel at their political ineptitude, though, Cornell, is to see the through line between Trump couldn't believe not just that President Barack Obama won, but that he was so good at it and that he was so popular. And so, to Alicia's point, he wasn't really a political actor. He sought to delegitimize him for the same, out of the same mission that you're talking about. He can't be. Not only can he not be president, he can't be that revered as president.